Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Welcome, parents, to the weekly rethink. It's summer, and
Woohoo! We love summer.
Oh my
I
goodness!
really love summer. You don't love summer so much.
Well, I love the hot weather. You know, you're a cold weather fan, but I love the hot weather. But what I don't love about summer is the chaos of summer and how no one goes to bed, but I still have to go to work. But one thing I do love about summer is vacations.
Yes, you do love vacations.
I have fought for vacations for 27 years. You didn't grow up with vacations.
We grew up and didn't go on vacation. And so that was kind of a new idea to me that you wanted to do that. And I even found as a young mom that vacations didn't really feel like vacations because all I did was take all of my jobs and tasks and laundry and children and then just took them to another location. So
Yeah.
it didn't feel much like a vacation.
I never could get that because I would be so excited about a vacation. I'd think it was such a great idea. And you'd be like, it's so hard.
Well, yeah, because
Vacations are
Don would pack his suitcase, load his suitcase in the car and say, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I
It was
had to.
pretty easy for me.
Right. I'd pack the whole car, pack all the kids, all the snacks,
paid
all
for
the
it. Doesn't that
activities.
count? Doesn't it count
Most
that I-
definitely. You definitely. And that's one of the reasons I did it is because you paid for it.
Because at that time I was working, she was at home. And so,
But it was valuable. Family vacations are valuable. 100% agree with Don because while I felt like I was taking
So I converted you.
Most definitely, yes. While I was taking all my tasks and chores and whatever that with me, we still changed the atmosphere, the environment. We got to be at a new place and do new things, and that did break the monotony.
Once I got you over the hump, so
What
to speak.
kid came in finally? Yeah.
Well,
Kid number 5 is when I finally embraced vacation.
Even each vacation, it was like I had to convince you,
Yes,
and then we would
yes.
start to go down, and then you'd be all on board, and
For sure,
then we
definitely.
would be in
Still,
the middle of
probably
things.
to this
and so-
day, you still have to convince me to leave my cozy
Exactly.
home.
So vacations are valuable. Let's just put that out there. They're relationship building. There is a cool, crazy cool family spin to that because they're so relationship centric, if you will. There's such opportunities there. Kids remember vacations. So with that, though, we have the opportunities as parents to create great vacations or
Not so great ones,
not
which-
so great vacations.
Well, it's definitely our first several.
Oh my goodness, we've had some good ones, and we've learned a lot in 28 years about vacations, and we do them a lot better now. I would say more consistently. Not that we don't have issues with vacations now, or there's never any trouble.
I would say our most successful vacations when it was just the two of us. Like when we would go, because we would sneak off for our anniversary and celebrate that and to a bed and breakfast.
And that's good too for marriages, to
yeah.
get away and allow yourselves to get away. But in the summer, particularly you're thinking about the family vacation. Everybody's there. And for us, that's 9 people. So, and it was never increasing number that was going on vacations. But
don't you remember our very first one when it was our very first family vacation? And so we had Molly, and then Madeline was, I think, about 3 months old.
yeah,
and
she was a baby. And it was
Yeah.
awful. It was so awful.
We have a picture that we took in all Western gear, and you're supposed
Because
to.
we were at Six Flags in San Antonio.
Yeah,
it was Fiesta, Texas.
Yeah, and you're supposed to frown in those pictures because I guess in the olden days they frowned in their pictures, but we didn't even have to fake it because we were all so mad at each other.
It was, and nothing went right, and everything. It seemed like that. Communication between us was horrible,
Yeah.
and Madeline was not a great baby at the time, and she was crying a lot, and it was it was wretched. But we got better.
Yeah, for sure. We even went back to San Antonio to redeem
a few
the
years
town.
later.
Yes, and to redeem all of it. And that was a much better vacation. What made that one better?
It took another Western picture, and we
Yes.
were smiling in it. Don't you
Yeah,
remember
and we
that?
already had Michael. I
Yes.
mean, like it went all the way to we had Macy Mackenzie and then Michael. So it was several years
Well,
later.
and before we go to what made that vacation better, I mean, let's think about some things that make vacations not so good. And
Okay.
and one of those is we big agendas for vacations where all of a sudden we've got to put 5,000 things into the vacation.
Like too many events scheduled for that day.
Really, and inflexibility, we're going to flip
yeah.
it to be we need vacations to be flexible, but when we have when we want to, you were saying when we were prepping for this that you wanted to make everybody feel everybody's wishes come true, and that just puts a lot of pressure on the parents.
Yeah, I remember our Disney World trip. That's another one when we got all 9 of us there, and Maddox and McCade were little bitty, and we really all wanted to be there to experience Disney through their eyes. And so everything kind of revolved around them, but we had older kids and they wanted to kind of go do their own thing too. And I just felt like I was caught in the middle of trying to please the oldest and then trying to take care of the youngest and trying to make everybody fed and happy and rested, which is impossible at Disney World.
Yeah,
and
we
I
had
just
4 teenage girls and they had
agendas that they kind of wanted to do, but they still wanted to hang out with us. And
they had different emotional agendas as well. It seemed like that everybody was, hungry or tired, or, the boys were just kind of, they just kind of did what they were told, but the girls were, really going
And I was trying to take care of that. And so moms, as you step in and do that, yes, it is wise to be sensitive to your kids, and it is wise to not plan too many events, knowing that, taking that into account. And I would say that that was probably one of my biggest mistakes for that Disney vacation, is that I wanted to conquer every single park and do every single thing. And so we were there for
while
only
making everyone happy.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it was impossible. And it ended up being a great vacation, but there were many moments throughout it that we were exhausted or tired, or needs weren't met, or people weren't happy with it. And
parents, if you can picture this, we've got 9 people. We're staying in 2 hotel rooms that are adjacent at the Disney park. And we really went all out. My parents actually gave us some money. And so we splurged on it and we flew everybody there. We'd never flown on a vacation.
on 2 different flights.
Yeah, we did. We don't fly. You don't fly 9 people. You just, it costs way too much money. But we did that one. And for 9 days, all 9 of us were together 24 hours a day. I mean,
It wasn't quite like that.
No, it was too.
No, I left to do the laundry.
Well, that's true. And we did.
And you probably went on runs.
And yes, that's probably true too. But I mean, so for 9, nobody
You and I
left
left for a while.
Yes, but for the most part, 95% of it, we were together, and it was so weird because no matter what happened, I thought maybe the older kids might go and do something
Oh,
on
yeah,
their own.
because they could have hopped on a tram and gone to any park they wanted
safe,
to.
and we
Right.
were the girls
Yeah.
were teenagers, but no, we were together the whole time. Everyone was together. We moved in one big pack.
Well, so, Don, you're talking like that is a negative, and while that might be a negative, that is actually one of the positives of being on vacation together.
Sure.
You're forced to be together. You're going to have a meal together, especially if your kids are little. We were just saying that sometimes dad works late, or maybe mom works late, or kids at a practice, or whatever that is. And so you have inconsistent time together when you're at home in your routine. But when you're on vacation, it's kind of like you're forced to hang out together. And that can be a plus.
Yeah, and it actually was fun. One of the things I noticed one of the things I will never forget about that vacation in particular is Suzanne and I did get away. It was like the 6th or 7th day of the vacation. And
It was only for like a couple hours.
Yeah,
so it
and
wasn't
so
like-
we left the kids, and they really wanted us to do it. They said, "Hey, why don't y'all go do something?" And so we did. They stayed in the hotel room, and
They were probably wanting our stressfulness to leave the environment for a
probably
little
true.
while.
But I told Suzanne this. It dawned on me that for Suzanne and I, so we're different people. I'm a little bit more agenda driven. She's a little bit more feeling driven. That's probably an understatement on both sides. But I told her when we were away, I said, realize what's happened here is for the first time, this rarely happens. For 7 days or however long we'd been there, we have the same information to make decisions. Mm-hmm. Everything's the same. The park's the same. The kids are the same. Everything's the same. And one of the things we found is that many times we came to different decision points, even though we had the same information. So one of the things about vacation is to realize that
Because we were just seeing it with different lenses.
Yeah, you were seeing it you gave me a pattern, you gave me a plan, said let's execute the plan. okay, game on. I'm going to execute the plan.
And then Miss Flexibility steps in.
Oh, yeah.
Miss
Well,
wishy-washy flexibility.
Maybe that plan doesn't work as well. Oh, yes, it does. Here we go. And so parents, I think you guys can relate to that. And I think it's so valuable to going back and going now into more of the positive things of vacation is how do you overcome that? You stay flexible and you talk about it and you work together, or, maybe one of you defers to the others and says, hey, you're going to make the decisions. Many times I find with some of my friends, the wife is the planner of the vacation. Well, and husbands, if you want that to happen, then you got to defer to the plan and you got to let her. And if she wants to change gears, but you got to figure that out between the two of you, who's going to plan and who's going to do, how are you going to work together? Because when you fight, it ruins the vacation. And I'm going back to the negative of it. But I mean, when you guys fight, and we've had those issues, our conflicts caused the bad vacations. It wasn't the kids.
Right. No, they loved it. They wanted to be right, but that was like a momentarily thing. It would be fixed with a sandwich or whatever.
So and they don't know any better anyway. They've never been wherever they are, and so it's all a new adventure, and they don't have any expectations. Well, I don't want to say they don't have any expectations, but you might have teenagers, and they definitely have some. But for the most part, the parents' attitude and the parents working together can make or break the good vacation. And so let's talk about then, and Disney World was a great vacation for us. We've done so many.
How can it not have a great vacation at Disney World? It's magical.
Yeah, exactly. But what are some things, we thought about some things that really create awesome vacations. How are you going to create, let's forget about the negative now. Let's talk about how we're going to create an awesome vacation for your family, summer or winter. I mean, we've been snow skiing, we've been to the beach, we've been doing all kinds of things. And we talked about how vacations are valuable. Well, and we talked a little bit about flexibility. And I think that's really important. Also, just be willing to adventure in your vacations. Make vacations fun. I think that parents so often think vacations should be relaxing. And maybe there are some that should be relaxing, but many times the fun is in the adventure. And so we've definitely had some vacations like that.
Yes, and I think that moms, once again, you are taking your life and transporting it and putting it somewhere else. And so to have the expectation that you're going to get to relax is probably a little bit unrealistic. And then you might be frustrated. And so I just want to encourage you that the relaxing part or the fun part or the adventure part of the vacation is hanging out with your kids and getting to know them and getting to see life through their eyes and walking down the street holding their hand, because maybe you haven't had a chance to do that because you've been at home running from task to task to task. But now life is slowed down dramatically when you're on vacation, and you just get the opportunity to enjoy your relationships, whether it's with your spouse or with your kids, at a whole different level. And that's, as you go into the adventure, seeing new things and experiencing new things, whether it's learning how to ski or building a sandcastle or whatever that is, that's where the rest comes in. It's hanging out in the relationship, not sleep, not doing anything.
And that's where the memories come in.
Oh, for sure. Kids, research shows that kids that go on vacation or get the opportunity to go on vacation that's where their childhood anchors are. And they go back and they remember those things. They don't remember the days and days and days at home, but they do remember the highlights of those vacations.
Yeah, and think about it, parents. You're going from an environment, usually our houses are bigger than our hotel rooms are.
So everybody can.
Or the house that we go in. Sometimes not. Sometimes we've gone to a beach vacation and gone to a big house we've rented or whatever. But, your environment's different. And so, it's okay if the clothes are a little messy, and it's okay if they're, the kids don't know how to travel. I whenever I travel on my own, I just got back from a trip. I took my two boys to Washington, D.C., my two oldest boys to Washington, D.C. Well, every time I go into a hotel room, I go pack my stuff into the dressers, and I get ready. I'm going to be there for about 4 or 5 days. I'm going to live there, and so I'm ready. And so I have my system, and I've traveled enough to have a system, and I like the system. They didn't have a system, but rather than me, hey, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? I mean, they got dressed every day. They took showers every day. They found their clothes. I mean, they're 19 and 15. They're big enough to do it. Now, if my kids were 3, I would be different. I would be more structured, but I didn't need, one of the things I've learned out of vacations is I don't need to tell them what to do. I need to focus on those things that are going to be relational and valuable and be flexible to figure that out. Let them kind of be themselves.
Well, and then in part of that, in moms with the tasks, I mean, you're going to have to feed everybody still. You're going to have to clothe everybody. And so the first few vacations, I was kind of a control freak on that. But the last few vacations, I included them in it. And so we all would go to the grocery store together. Do you remember what was it, Dolphin Beach?
Dolphin Island.
Oh,
yes.
Dolphin Island. And we
Yes.
broke up into pairs. And so there were...
oh no! Wait a minute.
Four
So,
pairs,
yes.
four
in Walmart.
was it Walmart? And four grocery shopping carts, and then
Oh, well, I mean, you think about this, it looked like a movie because you have 4 shopping carts and everybody's got their list of things they're supposed to get. And then we get to get our own stuff. And then we pull into the checkout line with 4 grocery carts, all of them full for the week's worth of groceries. I mean,
and they went off list just a little bit.
a little bit. And then, yes, the checkout guys got corporal tunnel from going through the scanner, and it totals up like $800 for the week.
Which is more than we spend in a month
I
in the
know.
grocery store.
I'm like, where
or
is
2 months.
where is the big screen TV that I'm buying out of this? Because I can't believe we've spent that. But you know what? That's a great example in that I could have said, "Oh my goodness, this is way too much money," and let's go, and what happened was we had enough and we didn't go out to eat a lot. So I knew that was going to happen. We made our meals there. And basically, because we spent that money there, we spent a whole week and we just hung out together. There wasn't a big agenda. And it was one of the best vacations we've ever had. One we look back on with fondness because we just dumped a bunch of food in the house and all of a sudden we went out on the beach every day and there wasn't really a big agenda and we just talked and we connected and we deepened and everybody remembers that. And everybody came out of that with a great experience.
Yeah, that was the last vacation that we went on as a family before we started adding in-laws.
Right.
And so Damien was added that year, and then Larry was added the next year, and then babies were added the next year and the next year. And so just as you're planning out your vacations, as you're looking into it, and we didn't go on vacation every year. I mean, it was more like an every other year thing, and we would do something little. Remember the time we went to Dallas and just took the 4 girls?
We didn't have any money.
Yeah, we didn't have any money then. And so we just stayed in a hotel room for 2 nights in Dallas. I don't remember if you got it with points or what happened.
We toured, just did different things.
They
different
were
events
free,
within Dallas,
yeah. And that was valuable. And the little girls remember that still driving, they're 20 years old. I remember when we went to see the big ball and the different things in downtown Dallas. And so we're not saying that you need to drop a ton of money to go on vacation. What we're saying is the time that you spend away from your home somewhere else is valuable and doesn't have to have a price tag on it. Or, just maybe even do something little one year and then stockpile funds for the next year. I've even was doing some research and it just said that kids would value vacation over toys. And so if you're going to spend so much money at Christmas time, cut that in half and put it in the vacation fund.
Yeah, and especially when you have younger kids, you're maybe not where you are in your career.
Right.
I mean, we definitely had times where we were scraping, and our parents have helped at times. We've had so many blessings with that. But I really, in your budgets, put money, not just your Christmas budget, but I mean, even in your planning budget, because vacations take a real financial hit on you if you don't plan for them.
Right.
But if you put back $100 a month or a couple $100 a month, and it doesn't have to be things elaborate. Remember, especially when they're younger, that's the advantage. When they're 3, they don't know where they are. They don't know if they're on an airplane. They don't know if you can go somewhere to the lake for a weekend and they think they have been to Disney World.
Right.
Because that's who they are. Now they get older, they have a little bit more knowledge, hopefully,
Well, we went to Silver Dollar City in
That's true.
Missouri tons, and that was
Branson.
super cheap.
Yeah, we camped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we never camped.
Well, I did too.
No,
We had to
camp
look.
bad.
I know. But we did.
But that is a great cheap vacation if your wife's not a snob.
Well, so
I thought we stayed in a log cabin.
don't you remember we stayed in the camper one time? We stayed in the log cabin one time. We went twice. Remember
I do remember going twice, but I totally blocked out the camper.
Yes, we were not camping. We're not camping people.
You would be. Your wife's just not into it.
But that's another thing is maybe you want, what type of vacation
For
you
sure.
do. Are you a camping family? I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success in camping. We tend to like the beach and skiing. It may be sometimes we've had some years, especially with a lot of kids, where Suzanne took a couple of kids and I took a couple of kids, and we did different
one
things
year
during
we
the
had
year.
to go to Canada for a wedding. And so we took 2 girls to Canada. Then we took 2 girls to Houston shopping and to see Wicked. And then we took the 3 boys to
San Antonio.
Yeah, to SeaWorld.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so Don and I got 3 vacations out of that deal,
Yeah.
but it was all a 2 or 3. I mean, it was just a few day deal for each one of them.
And most of you don't have 7 kids and
Yes.
have to deal with that issue.
So your
but
vacation budget will be not as spent as quickly.
the point is, let's kind of wrap it up here.
But last point is to have fun. No
Right.
matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, just have fun. Make it fun. Eat ice cream before dinner. Blow bubbles. Stay up past bedtime, or get up. Just do something out of the ordinary and enjoy it and have fun.
And you can even like eating ice cream before dinner on vacation. That's one of our themes.
Yeah.
So you can create vacation themes that are out of the norm. Hey, we get to, go jump in the pool with our clothes on or what. That's probably not a great one. Never
No,
mind.
that's a great one.
I
No,
guess so.
that one's great.
But you can create themes, and I think it is, adventurous, have fun. It really and let's-
flexibility.
And let me tie it back to Crazy Cool Family as we end. Is that in any situation, the more as a parent you can bring life
That's
to your
good.
family, the more you bring energy to your family, the more you don't bring grouchiness to your family, the more you don't have to control every little thing. Not that it can't be organized. Organization's great, but there's a difference between organization and control.
Yeah.
You organize, you plan in order for the vacation to go well, but then you don't create rigid structures because that's going to doom the vacation so often. So just like with everything, just like when you come home every day, just like when you wake up in the morning, the more you bring life to your vacation, the more you bring life to your family, the more you are going to have success, and the deeper the relationships are going to go, and the more success you're going to have. So
more powerful memories are going to be made.
absolutely. So I hope you get to go on vacation this summer. It doesn't have to be summer. We were just talking about it because that's usually when people go on vacation. It doesn't have to be a week-long thing.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be in the summer. It could be in the fall. Could be in the spring. Could be in the winter, skiing, or could be a lake house. Could be just anything.
Well, Airbnbs are the new latest, greatest. Those are
Yeah.
cool. We would have totally stayed in those.
Absolutely. And you don't have to fly places, but you could go camping or whatever, but talk about it with your spouse. And hey, what do we want vacations to look like? We did talk about that early in our marriage, and we said, and we've talked about it, at times since then. What do we want vacations to look like in your marriage? So now, okay, maybe you can't go this year, but hey, let's put something aside and let's plan on going somewhere. And even that, there's so much advantage in the anticipation. Hey, kids, we're going to go on vacation next. I mean, you can buy so much capital with going on vacation, 6 months
I remember
from
when
now.
we were going to go to Disney World, and you've got all those videos where they've surprised the kids and the kids are freaking out. And I said, Don, do you want to do that? And he goes, are you kidding me? No, I want to talk about it. I think we talked about it where we planned it in February. He goes, no, I want to talk about it every day until we get on the plane in May, or maybe we went in February. I don't remember, but you're like, no, remember we're going to go to Disney World. We're going to do this. And yes.
I'm sorry you can't go there because we're going to Disney World or whatever.
Yeah.
But, just make it fun, build the anticipation, do vacations. Figure something out in your family. And
It's hard and it's worth it.
Exactly. And it's hard and it's worth it, and you can do it. And you can do a great vacation, and it's a great relationship building thing. I hope this has helped you as you're planning your next vacation for your family, and I hope that you will go into it with energy and realize that we've done it great sometimes and we've done it not so great sometimes, but it's important, and it's important that you put it in your family. Hey, parents, go be crazy on vacation.
Yes.
crazycoolfamily.com.